morning everyone. So for our syllabus, there are various topics for background reading, and the first topic for background reading is Elizabethan poetry. So in our last lecture, we studied the history of the Elizabethan poetry. So we studied about that how Queen Elizabeth was given the support and patronage to the poets. So due to her support and patronage, there were various kinds of the poets started to composing various kinds of the poetry. Elizabethan era or Elizabethan age is golden age of the poetry. In this age or in this era, various kinds of the poetries develop and flourish. So the lyrical poetry is one of the most important outcome in the Elizabethan poetry. So do you know what is lyrical poetry? Lyrical poetry is a subjective poetry. In the lyrical poetry, the poet can express their thoughts, emotions, ideas and experiences. Such type of the poetry is called as the lyrical poetry. Lyrical poetry is subjective poetry, so due to that, poet can express their thoughts and ideas and experiences of what they want. Okay, so there are various forms of the poetry. So do you know which are the forms of the poetry? Stand up. Song, sonnet, ballad, very good. Sit down. There are various important forms of the poetry such as song, sonnet, ode, ballad and elegy. These forms of the poetry develop and flourish in the era. Whenever we study about the Elizabethan poetry, so in front of our eyes, the first name is the sonnet. Sonnet is the integral part of the Elizabethan poetry. So what is meant by sonnet? In Marathi, it is called as the sunit. Sonnet is a type of poetry. So it is a short poem, and this short poem is only of the 14 lines. There are restrictions of the lines to the sonnet. Means every sonnet having with the 14 lines. Means there is the limitation of the lines. Each kind of the sonnet will find how many lines? 14 lines. So the sonnet has a 14 lines. The theme of the sonnet is always fixed. The theme of the sonnet is love. Love, loss or the sorrow. But specially the themes of the sonnet we find that is the love. The sonnet form is specially written in iambic pentameter. Sonnet is written in the iambic pentameter. So what is iambic pentameter? It is a form. It is the written unstressed and stressed syllable. It is written in the unstressed and stressed syllable. The sonnet has two types. The first type of the sonnet is Italian sonnet. This Italian sonnet is also named after Petrarchan sonnet. Petrarchan sonnet. And second type of the sonnet is English or Shakespearean sonnet. English or the Shakespearean sonnet. So let us deep study of the both kind of the sonnets. So first type of the sonnet is Italian or the Petrarchan sonnet. So how the word is Italian sonnet? So it is named after on which place the sonnet is originated. The form of the sonnet is origin in the Italy. So due to that, this kind of the sonnet is called as the Italian sonnet. So which is the origin place of the sonnet? Very good. Italy is the origin place of the sonnet. So in the Italy, it was Petrarch who introduced the form of the sonnet in the Italy. So that type of the sonnet is named after the Petrarch as the Petrarchan sonnet. So Italian sonnet is also named as Petrarchan sonnet. It is also known as the Petrarchan sonnet. This is the first form of the sonnet. So in the Italian or the Petrarchan sonnet, there are 14 lines. But the structure, the dividation of the 14 lines is quite different than the English or the Shakespearean sonnet. So let us see what is the classification, what is the structure of the Italian or the Petrarchan sonnet. In Italian or the Petrarchan sonnet, how many lines? 14 lines. But that 14 lines divided as there are first 8 lines. First 8 lines called as the octave. And remaining 6 lines called as the sestet. First 8 line octave and second section of the 6 lines called as the sestet. Then Petrarch also divided octave and the sestet. So there are 2 stanzas of 4 lines called as the quatrain. There are 2 quatrains in the octave because of in the octave there are how many lines? 8 lines, and that 8 lines further divided into 2 stanzas of 4 lines called as the octave. And the second section of the 6 lines called as the sestet also divided into 2 stanzas of 3 lines. So due to the 3 lines, it is called as the tercet. Means in the sestet there are 2 stanzas of 3 lines called as the tercet. If there are 3 lines, and when if there are two lines in the sestet, there are 3 couplets. Do you understand what is the structure of the Italian or the Petrarchan sonnet? So after that here, between the octave and the sestet there is a gap. There is a short break, and the short break it is called as the holta, and the short break without punctuation mark it is called as the caesura. Means we find between the octave and the sestet, holta and the caesura. So the Italian sonnet or the Petrarchan sonnet has a fixed rhyme scheme. So Shakespearean sonnet. So English sonnet or the Shakespearean sonnet is also the sonnet of how many lines? Very good, 14 lines. So what is the theme of the English or the Shakespearean sonnet? Love. Very good. The love theme is in the Shakespearean sonnet, and the structure or the dividation of the 14 lines is quite different in the Shakespearean or the English sonnet than the Italian or the Petrarchan sonnet. It is very simple structure. So let us see what is the structure of the English or the Shakespearean sonnet. So we studied that 14 lines in the sonnet, but in the Shakespearean sonnet there are 3 stanzas of 4 lines. 3 stanzas of 4 lines. So due to the 4 lines, there are 3 quatrains. In the Shakespearean sonnet, there are first 3 stanzas, and in these 3 stanzas, how many lines? 4 lines. So total in the 3 stanzas, how many lines? 12 lines. So means the 12 lines in the 3 stanzas of 4 lines means in the Shakespearean sonnet there are 3 quatrains. In the 3 quatrains, 4 lines. And how many lines remaining? Only 2 lines. Means after these 3 quatrains there are 2 lines, and that 2 lines called as the couplet. This is very easiest and simplest structure of the dividation of the lines in the Shakespearean sonnet. In Shakespearean or the English sonnet, no octave, no sestet, no volta and no caesura. Only simplest structure of the lines is in the Shakespearean sonnet there are 3 stanzas, and that 3 stanzas having with 4 lines, and that is called as the quatrain. And after the quatrain there is a couplet, and this couplet is of how many lines? 2 lines. 2 lines. So due to that we call it is as couplet. So let us see. So what is the rhyme scheme of the Shakespearean sonnet? The rhyme scheme of the Shakespearean sonnet is as AB, CD, EF, and GG. Means here in the Shakespearean sonnet, this is the rhyme scheme of the first stanza or the first quatrain AB. Second quatrain's rhyme scheme is CD. Third quatrain's rhyme scheme is EF, and the same rhyme scheme is of the couplet. It is GG. So it is very simplest structure of the sonnet. So most of the poets followed the structure for their sonnet as an English or the Shakespearean sonnet. So for our syllabus there are 3 sonnets. The first sonnet is Sweet Warrior. The second sonnet is To the Moon, and third sonnet is of the William Shakespeare sonnet. Third sonnet is of the William Shakespeare sonnet. Full Lady, A Glorious Morning, and that is the name of the sonnet. So in this way, today we studied the form of the sonnet, 2 types of the sonnet, Italian or the Petrarchan sonnet, and second type of the sonnet is English or Shakespearean sonnet. Do you understand? Yes. Thank you very much.